Uh, let's see. Hello, everyone. I need to get something off my chest. I look back at my last video, and if you'd like to get an idea, just go back, take a look at it. And it was during the introduction of that video, I did something that I'm not very proud of. I was looking at something from the outside, and it was kind of superficial. I was just trying to, how do I say this? I was looking at all these wonderful things like performances. Moods. Let's see, what else was there? Just the harmony, the chords, the keys. I got a little excited, and I went ahead and I talked with my therapist about this, and they explained that I understand what happened. It's called GAS, which if you don't know what that is, gear acquisition syndrome. It's very, very common in musicians. I think we all have to deal with it. And it can kind of take over. It makes you do things that you don't feel good at the end all the time. And it makes you do things that you can sometimes you can regret. But I've decided to work on that. I will try and improve that over time. And I want to look deeper. I want to look within and see what Scaler is all about. And I think it will make me a better person, and it will show that I'm here for music, for something, a deeper connection. And I live for that. I live for a deeper connection. And so yeah, I'm going to take some time now, and I'll come back later, and I'm hoping that I'll be able to find things that are farther in, just not on the outside, not with all the curves and all the lines and all the options and everything, but actually do something and actually make some music. I mean, that's what all this is about. It's not about just plug-in. It's about making music. That's what we're here for. All of us are here for. So give me some time. I'll see what I can do, and I'll try and present it to you. So hopefully you can also look further inside and deeper, and maybe together we can build a stronger connection and get to what we all need to do. Okay. Thank you all for listening. I'll be back, and like I said, we're gonna get through this together. Thank you. So let's go over detecting audio and converting that into chords, and also we're going to do detect MIDI as well too. So when you open up the Scaler plugin, I'm just doing this as standalone just to be able to demonstrate everything. What you do is at the very top there's the record button. Before we do that, go into options. There's an audio and MIDI settings on here, and what you have to do is select your sound card, and then you select all the different settings in here. I noticed if I go down in the buffer size below 256 samples, I am getting some pops and clicks. Not sure exactly why that is. But also what you want to do is you want to set up the output channels, which would be your main outputs on there, and then make sure the active input channels are the inputs for whatever instrument that you're trying to record. So for me, it's input line in 6, which is coming from my Helix directly into the Ultralight Mark V. There's also a test option on there as well too. So you can click this and get a nice little wonderful tone. Okay, so just to let you know ahead of time, the audio detect function, it's definitely not perfect, but if you think about any kind of pitch detection that's out there, if you're tuning vocals and other things like that, it's never 100% accurate. You have to go through and kind of manually do things. So I just at least want to give a demonstration for what will pretty much happen if you use the detect option in here for audio. So what you do is you click the record button right here, and you can select capture MIDI, detect audio. So I'm doing detect audio, and then we're going to hit the record button. So let's see what it gave me here. It gave me an E major. And actually that first part, if I remember right, I think it's an E sus2 is what it starts off with. So it's sort of right, but it's not quite there. That doesn't sound right. G sharp major, no. G sharp sustained fourth. So the workaround that I have for this is going to actually be using the guitar fretboard at the bottom and using MIDI. Because if you think about it, any kind of input that's going in there, it's trying to find individual notes. And if you're playing a chord, like, let's try this here. Let's go through, delete this chord. It's actually not too bad. So you could tweak that, but if you want to get an exact chord to use, what I would do, I would recommend using the MIDI route, and I'll show you how I'm doing that. One thing to note in here, when I actually use this for figuring out the song, I did play it, and then I remember tweaking the chord just a little bit to get it to sound right, and it's actually different than what the actual notes are. I'll show you in just a minute what that turned out to be. So let's see here. Now you're gonna see me take my time because I got to figure out what notes are which. So let's see, it's the E. Okay, so then we'll do detect MIDI. It was perfect. Perfect, E5, and then we'll go to the next part. Okay. So. Okay, so let's hear how it sounds. So it's. Perfect. So this is actually what the chord should be. E sus2, E5, C sharp minor / E, C sharp 5, G sharp. Now this is what I actually have within the song. E sus2, E major, C sharp minor, E, G sharp sus4. So those are sort of just different chords, but it actually worked out perfectly within the song. So if you go through, we'll go through the individual parts here in just a little bit. But I wanted to give you an idea how the detect audio function, it works, and it can actually give you some creative mistakes, but at the same time, it's not perfect, just like any kind of pitch correction or pitch detection that's out there. But the definite option that I prefer is to be able to go through and figure out the notes, which you can see on the fretboard down here below, and make sure you're playing the exact notes, and then it'll figure it out using the detect MIDI function, which is definitely pretty cool. Okay, let's move on to the next section. This is my song Deeper, which I just released recently. If you'd like to check it out, it'll be a suggested video at the end of this video, and definitely give it a listen. Let me know what you think. So I'll go ahead and take you start to finish about how the song was created. It was just done with a very, very simple riff at the beginning. So let's see here. It's this guitar part was the first section, and it ended up being the chorus. And what I did is I used the chords, figured out the chords using the detect audio function in there, and sort of tweaked them a little bit. And then came up with the keyboard parts using Scaler. So let's listen to the first part. So that was the first part that I went ahead and recorded as a little section here. Now the next step was I went through and take off the solo there. I went through and got the felt piano within Scaler. So you'll see here what it did is use the detect audio function using the guitar part, and then it found these chords. E sus2, A major, C sharp minor E, and G sharp sus4. Now again, I used detect audio and it didn't come up with the exact chords, but what I did is I used the explore function on here to find similar chords that worked, and then I would drag them down to the bottom, and then I came up with that progression, which I listened back to it and it just worked with the guitar part. So we'll go back here and listen to just that. Okay, so from there I wanted to add an extra part, so I used this synth piano. Now the difference with that is that I added passages, and this is passage 2, which adds movement. You'll see the notes here at the bottom, but there's a couple extra notes that are thrown in there. So let's hear what that sounds like. Move up to the next section. And that is a good example of if you have an issue, there's a little exclamation with a little circle on there. If the MIDI notes get stuck, you hit the panic button and it'll stop it. So that's something a little different. Never actually had that happen before, but there it did. It just happened. So yeah, just something to know. So if we go back and listen to that part, see passages right here. You can see the notes that are being added. That's following the chords. And that is the setting for the Analog Labs, which pull it out over here. You can see this is the keyboard that I was using. That's within Arteria's collection using Analog Lab Pro. And just like the sound, just worked with the track on there. So next thing from there is I added extra parts on there. So you'll see a verse and a bridge. So let's go back and start with the verse. Now here's one thing with Scaler is that I went ahead and created a separate track and separate scaler for each section because I knew the chords were going to be different. And I basically pulled the scale from the original part and over to this where I basically imported the chord set, if I remember right, and got everything configured that way, and then just started trying some different progressions out using the Explore page. And I came up with different progressions here, you can see. So that's the scale. That's the part that I knew it was that I needed to work with. And then I found extra chords. So if we go back here to the actual part, this is what it ended up being. So very simple, but I just like the progression. It worked really well. So from there, I went and did the bridge section. And again, I created a brand new scaler track with a new scaler plugin in there because I knew it was going to be a different section. And I put all the chords, you know, here's the scale. These are the chords for the other part. This is the part for the other section. So that's what I came up with. So if we go through here, and you might notice a little flickering. I think that might be a little bug because this is a brand new plugin, version 3. So I'm sure there's definitely a couple other bugs. I think I got some comments in the last video I did about people noticing things, but for theirs was like a hard stop, or they basically said they had issues with it. So I would just report it to support, and you know, they'll probably go through, just give them a description of your system, all that kind of stuff like that, and they'll probably go through and send out a patch, hopefully, to fix any little bugs. But yeah, that was one that I noticed, and it could be just my setup too with the video card and all that. You never know. So yeah, these are the chords that it came on for that section. You can see that in the range window. I think I tried passages, but I ended up muting that because it just didn't sound right to me for that section. So yeah, that's the cool part with your range. You can try different things out and see what works and what doesn't. So from there, what did I do next? I think I just started doing guitar parts and layering different sections in there. So if we go back and listen to everything, after that I did the bass and drums, which for that I use Addictive Drums, which is my drum plugin of choice. I love it. It's such a great plugin. I do have some other videos for this, so definitely go back and check them out. There is the this is actually what kind of helped my channel out, is I did an Addictive Drums just for a friend. I recorded a video and we were both kind of joking about it, and I was like, yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and post it and see what happens. And like 7,000 views later, which I've never had before, it started taking off, and this is why I'm getting more into the gear side of things, because it's nice, you know. People definitely like to learn about gear and learn about different techniques, and that's why I'm also doing a deep dive on Scaler as well too. So Addictive Drums, yep, there it is. I used a kit for it, the Vintage Dead kit, which I love, and did the Pioneer kit for this one. And let's see, the only thing I added was I did the Rocket, which is sort of like a setting for parallel compression, or multi-band compression, sorry, and adjusted some other little settings in there as well, and also added a little extra low end to the kick. So really didn't do too much, and maybe added a little bit more room sound for this one. So yeah, I just, like I said, I really like this plugin. It's, to me, it's got super realistic sounds, and it's got the vibe that I like for drums. So went through there and found some different MIDI options in there for the beats and imported in there. I do a lot of programming myself for drum parts and all, but if I can find it and it's already created, it's like, why not just use that? And then I use that also for the fills as well too. Bass parts, I did actually just use Modo Bass for that, and I ended up just recording that myself. So I used the Devil Bass model, which is like a Gibson SG style option in there. Changed the strings where I changed them to old and flat wound because it gave it more of a muffled kind of vintage cool sound to it. And then changed a couple settings in there for, I think I took off some treble, added some gain, just kind of made it fit within the mix and give it a good sound. So let's hear what the drums and bass sound like. And I'll just take this off the cycle, start from the beginning. So from there, added a guitar parts. Several. And then I recorded some other guitar parts for the second section. So yeah, let me just take off all the solos on here so you can hear what everything sounds like. And I'll do it from here. So that's the bridge and the build up, back to the verse, bridge, then went back to the chorus. That's with all the piano parts. Then from there, I just did a lot of the usual mixing things that I always do for all of my tracks. With the guitar parts, they're actually DI tracks that I record with the Variax guitar. It's a little different way of doing it, but I found that doing with the DI gives you the modeled sound of the guitar and also of the pickups. And gives me more flexibility, because what I can do later on is I can throw on the Helix native on top of that, which gives you all the guitar sounds, all the effects, all the amps, all that kind of stuff like that. And it's so flexible. Actually, I have a video out there for the Variax as well too, and that'll be on there for suggested videos. So if you'd like to check that out, I have a whole section of like a playlist of tools that I use, which, you know, Addictive Drums, the Variax, Scaler 3, and there's probably gonna be other ones as well that I add on later on. So yeah, definitely check all that kind of stuff out. Let's see. So yeah, I went through with the guitar parts, and you can see Helix native on there, which I just used, created a preset for it. And you can see the different amp setting. It looks like it's a US Deluxe setting on there. And I turned off the delay, but added some reverb to it. And yeah, that was the double tank, which I think is a spring reverb, if I remember right. I have to double check on all that. But yeah, I love the sound and everything that Helix works with the Variax as a guitar DI on the front of that. And like I said, if I want to change the sound, like if I don't like this or want more distortion, less distortion, more effects and all that, I can do anything I want to sort of tweak the sound. I love the setup. So yeah, I did that, and then for each one of the tracks, I always roll off the low end on there, usually around 80 hertz, and just low cut. That way it frees up the low end for the bass drum and bass guitar, and also the keyboards as well too. So did that, and then on the master, I always do SSL. Bus compressor, and then the ozone maximizer at the end, and that gives you just a nice full sound. And then exported it, and that's it. So yeah, I mean, yeah, this is really cool setup in here. Scaler is definitely has helped me out to come up with chords that I never would have come up with on my own. It's sort of like a chord suggester. Like you tell it the key of your song, figure out the key, and it'll say, hey, why don't you try this chord, that chord, and then you can go through and try them out. And just like there's probably different ways I can do this, but I did the option in here for Explore, and I did the Sketchpad. Wasn't this track? It was one of the other tracks. Where I went through here, there it is, the sketch option in here, where I basically copied the chords, brought them over into here, pasted them into here, and then I did it for each of the sections, the scale, and then I sort of created everything. So yeah, once again, I love this plugin. It's really helped me for songwriting, and I'm continuing to learn it and try new things out. And I have a feeling that, yeah, I'm definitely going to be using this a whole lot more, especially when I'm adding keyboard parts, but also for figuring out the guitar parts, which I showed earlier how it did the detect audio, but also detect MIDI using the guitar fretboard for being able to figure out different notes that worked. And, when I'm trying to figure out the chords, it's like the exact note. So I love that setup. It's very nice. Yeah. So I hope everyone liked everything. Once again, listen to this track and let me know what your thoughts are. It's a separate video. Also, if you'd like to support what I'm doing here, go to AfterAudio.com, my website. I have all my other music there, or just look at all the other videos on my channel. And I definitely appreciate that very much. So after trying out Scaler 3 for a long time, there are a couple things. It's the new version. It's Scaler 3.0. So a lot of times they do incremental updates. Like with Scaler, they did Scaler 2.1, 2.2 on up, and each one they added new features to it. So what I was thinking is that since we're at the very beginning of this version, I might as well go ahead and kind of talk about how I used it, and what I see is maybe could be some things to add on possibly in future updates. So let's go over everything. Oh wait, that's AfterAudio.com. That's my website, so check it out. You can listen to music on here if you want to. It's all my music. I have collaborations. I have a whole bunch of stuff. You can, musings, if you go there, you can find out a whole bunch of cool information there as well. Like how I collaborate, and how to find a key that positions the song's melody within a range of notes, finding the perfect key for a singer. Just a whole lot of cool information in there. Audio interfaces for live streaming. Ooh, that looks cool. There might even be a video that goes with that one. And another thing that I do is I have a page called Discover, and I try and keep it updated with a lot of the music that I listen to, different channels that I listen to. Also some people that I've worked with on Bandcamp as well too. So yeah, definitely check the site out, AfterAudio.com, and let me know what you think. So back to Scaler 3 and feature request. Let's see here. So with Scaler, let me pull it up here. When you go through and you're trying to find chords and get everything all set up, let me see if I can get this. So here we are when you go to all scales and you're trying to figure out a certain scale. It does give you an option right here to go through and put in different notes, and so you could sort of try and figure out what key a certain song is in if you have the notes on here. And one thing I was thinking about is I was like, this kind of reminds me of something else. Let's see here. There you go. So if you could do that, and those are the notes, just pick like random notes in there. This is the scale that it matches. It shows you the note match, the chord match, a different mood that it can work with as well. So that's kind of neat for being able to do that. So the thing that it sort of reminded me of is a different website that I use called Chord.Rocks. And this has been a great resource for me as far as for music theory and trying to figure out certain things. And what I like is at the top here, you have chord scales, identify chords, and identify scales. So if I go to identify chord, there is the piano option that's on here. So you can go through and put in, different notes, and you can try and figure out. So you can try and figure that out for the different chords. Let's pick something here, like C major, A minor 7th, C6, C major 7th. So that's one way for identifying chord. And here's the cool part. If you go here, that's for the piano. But if you go to identify chord and you pick guitar, before, when I was doing everything, I was having to play the notes on the on my keyboard and match it up with everything. But if I knew what the notes are, I could put this here. So it'd be E. What's the other one? It was B, and then I think F sharp. And you see E sus2, just like I had before listed. So this basically filters it down so you can see what the different chords could be on there. So what I was thinking is that within Scaler, is that instead of the piano part, you could have a small mini guitar fretboard right there or something similar. And that would just make it easier for guitarists to be able to figure out chords or figure out scales. Same thing here, identify scale. You could put the notes on here to figure everything out, and sort of, you can figure out that it could be E major pentatonic right there because it contains those notes. So yeah, this is, like I said, it's a great resource. I would actually use this still, but if this functionality was built within inside Scaler, I could just have one thing to go to, just use Scaler instead of using this for a lot of things. So yeah, definitely check this one out. If you pick the scale, you can see you pick the A major and it shows you all the notes in there. Looks very similar to what Scaler had. Pick different other scales on here. And then same thing goes for chords. So yeah, this is just a really, really neat resource that's out there. You can also change the tuning and do a capo on there, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, so definitely check out this site. Very, very neat, very neat site. Has a lot to it. And then the other thing that I was looking at was with the range section. And what happened was I would have to do multiple instances of Scaler. So if there's a way around this and people know about it, please put a comment in there, because I like learning new things. As I said, I'm very new to this. So if there's a way of arranging this that I'm just not thinking of or something, please let me know. But it looks like you can pretty much just have one part in there. And I like within Logic, and I use another program called Reason that has a really good option. If something similar could be sort of set up where you could label parts and then import and export parts, like you could have your verses, your choruses, your bridges, just all the different sections in there. And then from there, then you can arrange within your DAW. That would probably take a whole lot of programming, I know that, but maybe there's a simple way of executing that that would at least give the basic functionality in an update. And just to give you a look at Reason blocks, you can see right here, blocks, you have the intro, verse, chorus, bridge. And what you can do is you have the different sections. You can write everything down within the arrangement. And then when you copy and paste, it'll copy the entire chord section over for you. And you can flip back and forth between the verses and the choruses, or whatever part you label it as. And what's neat is that if you make any kind of edits, like say within the verse, it'll carry to all the other blocks that you have. So it's and then if you want to do a little tweaks to it, you can basically record within the DAW part to add just that section, but the block stays there. It's kind of like you're just going over top of a certain section. Like say your bass line, you want it a little bit different. You can record your own bass line over top of what the block has below it. It's just a really, really, really neat way of arranging. And that's something that I've used within Reason. Is probably one of my favorite parts for Reason for arrangement. I have been using the arrangement markers that are within Logic, and that's very, very similar, but I noticed from what I can tell that if I'm within, say, something that I set up as a verse, and I change something within that verse, and I've already copied it over a couple times, it doesn't make the same edit all for each verse that's been copied over. It's only just that one verse. So in other words, you got to get all the work done within the verse, then you can copy it, and then you're all set. But if you change your mind, you want to add a little part or take away a part or something like that, you're going to have to do it for each one. So you have to manually go through and edit that verse each time within the timeline. So yeah, those are my big things. Of course, there's a couple bugs that I noticed, which I'm sure everyone's working on. Programming it's hard. It takes a lot of time, and you want to get to the big feature requests that are out there that'll help the most people, for each update. So yeah, that's it. This is Scaler so far has really impressed me. It's been a great plugin so far. A whole lot of features. They've really added a lot doing the arrangement in there. I just want to see some other tweaks that would sort of make this the absolute go-to for songwriters. And I would say something where you could have parts within the arrangement instead of just having one big section where you could do loops and all that. They might already be working on some similar things like this. But yeah, like what I'm seeing is great, the MIDI editor in there and being able to change the chords and inversions and just, you could basically move the notes up or down, a whole bunch of different things. So a whole bunch of different options that are great in there. So overall, I think it's an amazing plugin. And I can't wait to see what they do with Scaler, especially with hopefully future updates that make this a even stronger, more powerful plugin. Thanks for listening to my song Deeper, and also for checking out the whole overview of how I created this song from scratch, just coming up with a real basic riff and then using Scaler to figure out the key and some chords, and to build on that, adding different sections, using the motions. I mean, I can just do so much with this plugin. It's great. So once again, if you'd like to support my channel, you can go to my website. It's AfterAudio.com. And I have all my music that's on there, all the different projects I've done, collaborations and other things like that. Also on my YouTube channel, I have a lot of different content. Like I have different tools. Talked about, Addictive Drums that I've done some videos on, the Variax guitar, and there's going to be more coming later on. So yeah, be on the lookout for all the different stuff that I'll be coming out with eventually. So yeah, thank y'all very much. And I wanted to let everyone know that there's a Scaler video that I put out before this. And I just want to say thank all of you so much for paying attention and checking this out. And the Scaler community, you all are pretty awesome. I've gotten a lot more subscribers than I ever have, more views, and I can tell it's a very passionate community, and it's something that I want to be a part of. So be on the lookout for more Scaler videos. And like I said, thank you all so much for checking out my videos. And hopefully you all got something out of this yourselves. I also appreciate everyone that's listened to my music, because that's what we're here for, is for making music and trying to create. So that's what all of y'all are trying to do, is what I'm trying to do. And I ain't stopping. I want to keep going doing this thing. It's pretty awesome. So yeah. Once again, thank you all so much. I really appreciate it. And I appreciate all the support for this. I just, my mind's blown. I have a lot of fun creating content like this, and for doing things. I like nerding out about gear, and hopefully you all like doing the same thing. So, if there's any questions or anything like that, let me know. You know how to do all that. You can support me by doing a lot of the things that are already out there that everyone always talks about. But yeah, I would appreciate anything like that. And I hope everyone has a wonderful day today, and a wonderful weekend. And I hope everyone's doing okay out there. And I'll talk to you all later. I'll see y'all. Thank you again. Bye.